video I'm going to give you some advice of what to buy if you're starting out or buying all the latest, newest, bestest gear if you want to do stuff like property, real estate or architectural photography. So there you go. The reason for this video, got an email from Jesse saying, no, that's his name. His name is Jesse. He says, I am starting a photography business. I will primarily be shooting real estate, blah, 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 blah. I am in the process of upgrading to professional equipment and I'm financing my business 100% myself. So I can't go buy every last piece of gear I need all at once. For camera bodies, I'm going to choose between the D750 and the D810. I'm leaning towards the D810 because I'm also a landscape shooter. I could say you could shoot both landscapes with the D750 as well. There's nothing really stopping that. However, what I would say is that the body of the D810, it's so much better to deal with. It's just so less fiddly and so less crap. D810 camera body, so good, and I would recommend that if you can get them for second hand as well. They're absolutely rock solid and the image quality is unbelievable. So I would promote you to go more for the D810 over the D750. Anyway, you say, my question, if you had to start with one lens and one lens only, Nikon, you were shooting mostly real estate, yes, small bathrooms to exteriors, what lens would you choose? Don't worry about price, okay? Don't worry, this is interesting, don't worry about price when you're answering this question. Saving money is always in the back of my mind, but don't let that be the primary factor when you answer. Okay. I realise that one lens will probably not be able to do it all, but I need to spend my money efficiently. So I just need to pick a lens that will get me straight on the right foot, and then I'll add other lenses as I go. Okay, simple. If you're doing property, real estate, inside, outside, you need a wide as you can get lens. However, there are other things to bear in mind. So you've effectively at the moment got 3 lenses which everyone would recommend. So the first one, oh wait a minute, got the wrong picture here. First one, boom, the Nikon AFS 14-24 f2.8, stunning performance lens, unbelievably wide, super duper wide. And just fantastic quality of images that people are getting from it. However, I wouldn't recommend that one. However, price is pretty good, £1,284. That's cheaper than what I thought it was going to be. The next option, you've got something which is not quite 14, it's 15mm, still super wide. This one is the 15-30mm f2.8, so 2.8 again. VC vibration compensation for Nikon, and that one is £800. That one also a very, very good lens, and many people are saying it's absolutely stunning image quality and it's very good in lots of different types of weather situations, and yeah, good option. However, still wouldn't choose that one. The next one, the Nikon 16-35, so we've gone from 14 to 15 to 16 millimeters at the wide angle. F4, not as bright as the f2.8's VR lens. Now, so this one is £829. Okay, so you're asking for the Nikon lens to get. I would recommend this one out of them all. So, and this is not in regards to price at all. This is purely because of what it is. So in other words, if the only thing you're doing is, in fact, I don't even know if I'd recommend this one. So the Nikon 14-24, the pros of it, it's an f2.8. So if you're in a dark situation, the f2.8 can be handy. Not many times that you're really going to be using f2.8. The depth of field, even when you're at 14mm on a full frame camera, you will run into difficulties if you're shooting a property which is dark. Anyway, you should always be using flash if you're inside a property. Well, 99% of the time you'll be using flash. Barely anyone does HDR anymore. And the problem here, if you try, so I never ever shoot at f2.8. I have the Canon 16 to 35 f2.8. I never shoot at f2.8. Always shoot around about f5.6. Once you're at 5.6, once I'm zoomed into around a meter in front of the lens, then everything's in focus. But if you're at f2.8, there can be some bits which are getting a little bit fuzzy in the far edges. So the problem with this one, f2.8 is great. It's a freaking big lens, and the front of it is a bulbous end, which means that let's say you're doing a panning shot, if you start to do any video kind of work as well, so much sun's going to be hitting just off that bulbous part there, especially if you're zoomed out. I think it goes in the way, and you get not so great lens flare. Really, from what I've seen, really kind of just nasty lens flare going on because the sun's hitting the lens at such a weird angle. Additionally, you can't stick on a simple simple filter on the front. So if you're wanting just a not an ND filter, a UV filter, it's just something to protect the lens, you're not going to be able to do that. So effectively, you're walking around with a 1,300 pound lens, which you can't put anything on the front. Additionally, the lens cap is a full cup that you have to take on and off. So it's just not one I would really go for, because then also if you're trying to put on ND filters, so if you get what I would recommend is getting the Canon ND grad filters. I shall find those for you. Yeah, the Pro Z ND grad filter set. In fact, I think you want to go for an even bigger set than these ones, but that's about another £100 that you want to spend. If you get these, it's £100 for these filters. You can't use them on the front of this because you can't attach it. So that's another duffer. If you want to put a circular polarizer filter on it, again, you don't really want to use circular polarizer filters with ultra wide angle lenses because you get a weird distortion, which again I've done a video about. I'll find it. So so if you're shooting outside, I've done a video here which will put a link to this down below, where if you're using a circular polarizer on an ultra wide angle lens outside, you can get a pretty nasty internal vignetting going on in the center of the image. So that is sometimes where it doesn't really work so well. But however, if you are wanting to use circular polarizers, if you are shooting maybe not the ultra wide angle lens setting, it can be helpful, but you can't do that with the Nikon, this one. Okay, next one, a Tamron. Again, it's considered to be fantastic image quality and unbelievably wide, and an f2.8, and this one has VC, vibration compensation, so you could potentially be doing even slower shutter speeds handheld. Amazing, which can pretty much mean you don't need to use a tripod. If you shoot at a 50th of a second and bump your ISO up to about 2000, then the image quality is just unbelievable as well. However, this one has the same problems again, so you are going to need, or you can't put an ND filter kit on the front, you can't put circular polarizer filters on the front, and you can't put UV filters on the front. So that just means it's a good ultra wide angle lens, but for property work, not that helpful. And again, the bulbous end at the front, weird lens flare kind of crap going on. So the one that I would recommend 100% would be the Nikon 16 to 35. Although it's an f4, it's unbelievably sharp. You're probably not even going to be shooting at f4, probably f4.5 or 5.6. And the fact that it's got VR in there, this one works so well on the Nikon D810. Just a stonking lens. And the fact that it zooms to 35mm, means that if you are doing other shots, you've got a little bit more telephoto reach at 35, especially if you're shooting at 36 megapixels. But also, if you're doing video work, you can zoom into 35, put it into f4, and you do get a shallow or some form of shallow depth of field. It is definitely something which is quite handy. But that would be the one that I would recommend, because yet again, you can totally get your circular polarizers, you can get your filters, all on that. So that would be the one that I would recommend if it's just one lens that you have to go with 100%. I'll put the links to all of these in the description down below. Cheers, bye bye.